Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Gen Politics. So, we're back again with another horrifying statistic, which is that young 22 to 27-year-old college educated men are now unemployed at the same rates as non college educated men. So, that is horrifying. That is going to bring with it a whole host of disasters. And the future of both education and employment is looking precarious. So let's break this down. First, let's look at this graph on the left. This is the difference between the college educated and the non-college educated men. If you look in 2010, the rates for unemployment were about double for the non-college educated men. For the women, it's about the same. And they peter off. You get to COVID, that's an outlier that can be ignored pretty much. But now this is where we're at, 2025. And you can see these lines are crossing. So it doesn't matter if you went to college or not. If you're a man, 22 to 27, you just won't have a job either way. That's not good. That basically means college is a total scam and a total failure for men. And in fact, it's even worse if you go to college because you pay all that money to end up worse off or in the same place, best case scenario. This cannot be said for women, though. The women are still getting employed with college degrees at a higher rate than the women who don't have a college degree. So the women are getting the preferential hiring treatment out of college. And we know this. We've known this from the DEI programs. We've known this, that they get preferential treatment. That's pretty obvious. And statistically, it's apparent. So this is going to create a problem other than just having mass unemployment of men, which is never a good thing. You are going to create a problem where women typically desire to marry up. They want to marry a man who makes more money than them, who provides for them, who's more successful than them, has a lot more social influence than them. That's typically how the relationship dynamics work. Women want to marry up. Men don't really care about the social status or educational status of women. It's not a high priority. But the problem is, if all the women are educated more than the men, they're making more money, they have more influence, they're better educated, they're not going to want to marry these men down here. Because a lot of men are just going to not go to college, because what's the point at this point? And there is the argument to be said that trades is going to take up, because we need tradespeople, and two, they're going to be making a lot of money because we need them. So that'll be a good thing. But there's not a societal status that comes with the trades. I'm not saying that's how it should be. That's just kind of how it is. Is some woman with a master's degree going to want to marry a guy with a degree in trades because of the social pressures of, he's unsuccessful because he didn't go to college? I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying that's kind of just where we're at this point. So you'll have a lot of women who are desiring to marry a small fraction of men who are more successful, more financially wealthy than them, hit all those metrics. That's going to be a problem because a lot of men who are already destitute, don't have an education, don't have money, are not going to have wives either. You're seeing that break down already. It's like 63% of young men, 18 to 30, are single, or it's like 34% of women are single at that age group. Divorce rates are at 50%. The relationship dynamics are breaking down already. This is going to make everything worse because the natural inclinations of what each, sex looks for in a partner, we're kind of turning it on its head. And you're fighting against nature through your societal lens, and it's not going to work. So the women are just not going to be interested in these men. Now, is it the men's fault that they're not getting hired? Probably not, because it can't be the same. The same can't be said for the women. I mean, unless all the men are just worse at interviewing than all the women. But I think it's just they want to hire women. Women want to hire women. Run the HR departments. They want to hire women. We've seen that play out. This is just not good because there is another problem on the horizon that's going to make this problem even worse, and that's AI. AI is going to come for even more of these jobs in general. So there's going to be even less jobs to pick from. And so you're going to have a greater portion of men who I can't get a job at all. And we can't have everybody working at fast food, especially now because you can't support yourself on it. There's very little room for growth from that. And it's just not feasible. You can't have a society where everybody's working retail or running, working at a fast food place. uh, it's just not tenable for society. And that's why a lot of men are just totally checking out, because they feel like they're disenfranchised. They can't get anywhere. They can't even get a job. They can't compete against the women hiring women. They're just not going to win. They go to college. They were told that they get an education, they'll get a better job. The boomer lie. It's just not true anymore. College has now become a total scam. And the people will still say, well, it's about, getting an education. No, it's not. It's about getting a better job. That was the whole point. If you went to college and it did not guarantee you a better job, like, you wouldn't go. No one's actually just going for the education. They're going for what the education promises, right? And it's not promising anything. You're spending a lot of time for not much. I mean, college is really like, we've encouraged way too many people to go to college. It should not be this way. Most jobs don't require you to go to college. I mean, basically only STEM and maybe some other stuff would you actually need the education for. Like medical, I would like my doctors to actually get formal training. Do I need somebody working in some office at a cubicle? Do I need them to go to 4 years of college to be able to perform their daily tasks? Probably not. I mean, most jobs can teach on the job, like what you actually need to do over the course of a couple months. And some companies are actually starting to do that, because they're like, these people go to college for 4 years. They don't really learn anything about the job they need to do. Then they come and we have to train them anyways. Well, why don't we just pull them out when they're, 18? They're looking for a job. You acquire people early. You find some diamonds in the rough. You train them up. They have some loyalty to your company. It's a better case scenario. But we've convinced people that they got to go to college and get like an education to do a job, which most people don't need that education to do a job. And I like education. I like everybody having a fundamental level of education. I like the high school education system. I think we should have, everybody, I think we should go further with it. I think everybody should know practical skills. I think they should know personal finance. I think home ec is important. We should bring back. But I like everybody having a basic understanding of biology and chemistry and algebra and geometry. I think that's good. But most people in their lives are not going to need advanced education in anything. And the reason people went was not for the education, it was for the job. And sometimes you needed the education, like the medical or the STEM stuff, to actually get the job, to be able to perform it. But most of the time you don't. So I think college is going to drop off here. I mean, because it's also getting more and more and more expensive. So you're paying more for a worse product, a worse outcome. But this is a really, really bad sign for men, because women are still doing fine. But the men, I mean, they just feel totally disenfranchised. That's why they're just dropping out of society. You see that all the time. And replacing them with AI, which is coming, and immigrants, flooding the job market with those two things is not going to make the situation any better. Now, you can definitely stop the immigrants. You could just say, we don't need any more, because we don't need any more. But the AI, you're not going to be able to stop it. It will come at some point. We can delay it. We can kind of prevent it for 10, 20 years if we really wanted to, which, should we even do that? That's a totally different discussion. But eventually those jobs will be obsolete, right? And then even like the non-college educated jobs, like the trucking jobs, those are going to be obsolete eventually. I've heard Tucker Carlson and some people say, we can't let that happen because all these men work those jobs. And I agree. We can't just overnight have all those men be unemployed. And there are some women too, but we can't have all those people be unemployed overnight. That would be a total disaster. But if you say, we're not going to do it, we're not going to do it, we're not going to do it, and we're not going to think about a solution or, kind of an off-ramp for this, eventually it'll come at some point. 10, 20, 30 years, in the middle of the night, all the trucks will be self-driving. And, all the administrative jobs will be AI. And if we don't have an idea of what to do with this and what to do with people, because there's going to be a lot of people who we don't have jobs for, that we don't need jobs for. That's another discussion. We're not moving people from one industry to the other. We're not moving people from making horse carriages to making cars. We just don't need jobs anymore. We don't need that many jobs. It doesn't take that many people to manufacture the parts for the AI, to run it, to make sure the upkeep is going on. Not equivalent to the actual physical jobs that we have currently or had in the past. So what do we do with all these people? Well, that's another good question that we don't really seem to have an answer to. I mean, UBI is thrown out there. That could look like a bunch of different things. That could take a bunch of different forms. But we're running into serious problems where we have not societally or legally, politically caught up to where the technology is and where the modern social problems are. And I think it's just going to get worse and worse. And you can't run a society like that because it will break. Things will just collapse. You can't have the birth rates collapse. You can't have the men and women not want to interact with each other. You can't have everybody be self-isolating because they see no value in their lives. They see no hope for the future. That's a huge, huge problem. So this is really scary in reality. This is not a good sign whatsoever. And it may just seem like a small thing, oh, well, it's, just college is a little bit less valuable than it used to be. It's like, well, it's an indicator of something bigger, and it's a piece of something bigger. And that's how we need to look at it. So that's my thoughts on this. If you made it all the way through the video, I appreciate it. If you like the content, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And thank you for watching.